let's drive for 72 hours straight and floor it. I would do the cannonball or the gumball. I would then be deported.
I like the expression that I saw about, maybe you sent it to me, Moon, about in America, if like 300 miles is a long way. Or I'm sorry, in England, 300 miles is a long way, but in America, it's not that far. But in America, 300 years is a long time. And
In
in
England,
Britain,
it's
300 years is not that much. Yeah.
yeah.
My house is older than that. Please.
Well, we've got buildings in my city which are older than your country, so that's kind of funny to me.
Yeah, that's what's funny about it. And we've got states that are bigger than your country, which is kind of funny to me. I wonder how big your country is compared to my state.
Probably bigger.
And no one lives in them.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's not true either, Jay-Z. Tom lives there. Tom Gamer.
Like,
isn't
in
Rhode
Wyoming?
Island our smallest state?
Oh, no, I meant the big ones that nobody lives in.
Oh, yeah.
Like Ohio.
It's just open land. Montana. Illinois.
Hey. It's corn.
Is that kind of like New York and New York City?
Yeah. Although New York does have other larger cities. What other larger cities does Illinois have?
Perhaps Champaign? Home to Volition?
Reference.
What's our definition of large at this point, then? If you're bringing Peoria into the conversation.
Yeah, everyone froze up for a second. Yeah, they're still frozen.
Us?
You guys look really happy, though.
Because
One-man
Pretty
guerrilla
much.
campaign.
that worked.
No, a giant, yeah, a big ape.
Gorilla, not gorilla. Gorilla.
You're not going to introduce us? Come on, man. Oh, all right.
Before you interrupted him, Jay-Z. Howdy.
Hello.
Howdy.
Jeez. Thanks for joining us, Moonpierre. Glad you stayed up so late.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Why don't we talk about some changes we've made? Oh my God, 3 hours.
All I know is I can't fall asleep being on it like I fell asleep watching it last time.
You wake up and there's like 20,000 viewers just watching you sleep on Twitch.
Oh yeah,
You'll go viral overnight.
Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
just a bunch of great moments sewn together, basically. Weren't they? Wasn't Microsoft really trying to make a real tough push in Japan around that time?
No, no, no. I think by 2011 they had kind of seeded
Packed it
they'd
in.
seeded the war in Japan.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
if
their big push was
It was them just standing in California or Seattle, just shouting westward.
and
we
this definitely wasn't
exist.
their big cannon pointed at Japan. I mean, Saints Row the Third wasn't getting released in Japan, and the Japanese going, "Hey, this is what you guys like. All right, this is great. Look at that big veiny bat."
Yeah,
Right, right,
like a shrimp.
right.
Oh Jesus! At least.
Yeah.
Yup.
Oh, but do you remember though the original Xbox actually had a voice coder feature?
hmm
Yes, it did.
Well, they
Yeah.
did it
Hmm.
to sort of as a child safety thing, so you don't know how old whoever you're playing against is, but then if you turn on the filter, you know exactly that you're playing against a kid. So it's probably
It's
good that it wasn't compatible because I don't know that I need racial slurs yelled at me auto-tuned. It might be funny. Yeah, it might turn the corner.
It would. Yeah, no, I think it would have changed it from something absolutely horrific into something hilarious. You would have stayed on longer just to play with the dude who was insulting you.
Hmm. Huh. Oh, I see Punisher on there. I loved that.
Uh,
Nope.
no,
Came
I
out
don't
like
think so. I
4 or 5 years later.
yeah. Uh, it's really, really bad of me to say this, but I absolutely loved the two Summoner games. Like, they are horrifically bad RPGs, but I
the
still
what?
love them. The
The
Summoner
what?
games.
Oh, Summoner.
Yep. Yep. And they had the most fantastic, like the recent advertisement trailers for Magica. Summoner did them in game where they had the characters all sitting around a table playing D&D against each other. It was just so perfect, and that's pretty much the Volition sense of humor.
Well, there was in the character creation. I only made it 10 or 15 minutes in because I got it on PC and it was super buggy and just crashed over and over. But in the character creation, like the faces you can pick, one is just the guy is blind drunk and one eye's drooping and he's just the slack jawed, which was so funny watching this guy run around. Like it explains everything you do in Saints Row. He's just completely drunk.
Yeah, I think I played Saints Row 2 a couple of times, and I did enjoy it a lot. But Saints Row 1 for me was too serious. It was the Grand Theft Auto clone that everybody thought it was. Saints Row 2 added the humor into it, but it was a really weird split. It had really serious moments that suddenly would turn dark in a kind of terrifying way, and then all of a sudden it's like snap your fingers, there's a joke, and it's actually kind of funny, but you feel a bit awkward laughing at it after what's just happened before it.
So it's basically Home Alone.
Yes,
Okay,
that's actually a really good metaphor.
all right.
Jeez. And is a large city in Illinois.
Everybody drives down there to go to college. If you're not going in the city, you go down to Champaign.
THQ didn't survive the 2000s.
What is that? Because I know he's getting involved with the new Silent Hill thing, which is terrifying. Huh.
I kind of have to feel a little bit sorry for Deep Silver slash Coke Media here because we've already seen Interplay come and go. We've seen THQ come and go. Is this like a Volition Curse thing? Well, they're good enough to keep going and keep going and keep going.
I don't think anybody's saying that Volition is going to be in trouble. It's the curse they bring upon their publishers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like the tape from The Ring. It just gets passed on and on.
Or a Black Widow who just keeps marrying husband after husband. Oh yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
That sounds like something the Saints would file. We're gonna make some money. We're gonna do stuff. Don't worry about it. We'll file our
But
taxes.
THQ's been around forever, right? I mean, they published games on the original Nintendo. Right.
Math blasters. Yes.
Yes.
That's a pretty good batting average then.
Yep. I distinctly remember that as well.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Particularly the NWO game on the 64.
Yeah.
And then,
That's a lot of
what,
CDs.
5 years later, they're gone?
Hmm.
It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, 38 Studios. They're doing great, right?
Hmm.
They aren't owned by a government entity or anything. Oh, good. Well, and here's
Yeah.
the thing:
Really?
by August 2010, the Wii, like the system itself, was like 140 bucks. So an
Hmm.
accessory that's half the cost of the console, no way a parent's gonna buy that for their kid.
They missed. Yeah, that and I think they just mistimed the release of that thing because by that point the Wii hysteria had ended.
Yeah.
So if they had released this thing, I would even say a year earlier, maybe you've got something. When did you say
Yeah.
it came out? 2009?
10.
2010.
It
I
came out in
think.
2010? Okay,
Yeah.
well, it's not. No, they really missed the boat.
Like
I,
when you can buy an iPad, who's gonna, you
yeah.
know?
They just absolutely misread the market.
I mean, I think I seem to remember hearing that like the U-Draw did okay for the Wii, but not like stupendously. But I think they wanted to try and basically make money back on the R&D or something, so they released it for the 360 and the PS3. Well, a year later, and I think that's what really sunk them because the Wii, yeah, okay, kids, it might sell okay, it might not. I can't remember what exactly it did on the Wii, but it didn't sell a single like iota of what they needed on the 360 and the PS3 because that's not the audience who's going to be buying that. That's your Saints Row, that's your Red Faction audience, not your U-Draw audience. And it's actually quite funny. My local supermarket actually basically owned by Walmart now. Fun fact for you. Um, they sell Xbox 360 games, and I actually saw a U-Draw game on the shelf the other day, but the tablet wasn't for sale. So you need the tablet to play the game that's on the shelf, but you can't buy the tablet.
They're like the Indiana Jones, just crate after crate after crate.
Yeah, top.
Although the U-Draw tablet didn't crush the industry, it just crushed
No,
Just
THQ.
a major player in it. Yeah. Yes. Press X to hide in mass grave.
Hmm.
Like first
Yes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Also, yeah. Also, they
But
got
no, I
into
got.
massive amounts. Go ahead, Scott.
That's all right. Go for it, man.
Oh, I was just going to say they caused a ton of PR issues because it was advertised like absolutely crazy. I think they probably spent more on advertising for Homefront than they did on the actual game. And then on top of that, they released like I think it was 1,000 red balloons in the San Francisco Bay Area, the
Yeah.
city in America famous for being a little bit hippie-ish. Love the city, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hippie-ish, and you release thousands of red balloons into the water, into the air, and it will cause a PR nightmare for them.
I'd like the record to reflect that Hannah lives in Chicago. Jeez. All right. Well, what I was going to say is totally out of my head because of that visual.
we like our Italian beef.
Oh no, I was just going to say that I have generally favorable impressions of that game, having never played it, but I've heard that I thought people enjoyed it. So that's weird.
Yeah, I think it's a critics versus players reception. People who played it seemed okay with it. Critics seem to be overly critical of it.
Wah, wah.
So, out of curiosity here, do you think, because I personally do you guys reckon Saints Row 3 kept this company alive for
Oh
another
yeah,
year?
absolutely.
Yeah. Because I mean, it comes out in November. They've got massive decline in issues, and then all of a sudden, a year after Saints Row comes out, which, let's face it, sold really, really well.
I saw it. I thought it was 5.3 or something.
Steam sales, Xbox Live, PSN.
Yeah, I mean, literally everyone on my friends list on Steam owns this game. Every last one. Like,
Same.
hmm well, it was they got all the IPs got divvied up after the sale, and all those that was when Humble was really kind of kicking in, and all those companies who bought these assets were like, let's send it out there. Let's make some money off these things right now.
I believe
Mm,
so. Yeah,
I gotta trust you guys on that.
I think so, and I think Vigil are now Gunpoint Games. Hmm.
Yep. And
Yeah,
podcasts were talking about it in rave reviews
yeah.
for weeks. Weeks.
I think this also got what was it? A Nobs go out and buy this game 4 times out of 5 rating.
And then he went and bought it 4 times.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
And I think that's going to tie into my criticisms of the game. I don't
Same
know,
here a
criticisms
little.
isn't the
Yeah.
right word. I feel like if I were 13, I would have enjoyed this game loads more. Not that I didn't enjoy it, not that it's not a great game, not that I can't appreciate it, but I think if this game had been around when I was a teenager, I would be singing a different song.
It is all dong and fart jokes.
Hmm.
I think it really is. They went to a teenage boy. They went to a group of teenage boys, and they said, what would you put in a video game?"
Well, can you guys
This, this,
imagine
this, this.
can you imagine what the writers room looked like for this and what they threw out? What they were like, "Oh, we can't put that in the game." Cuz I mean,
I don't
really.
think
Yeah.
they threw anything out.
There you go.
I think they took everything. Right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that kind of, from what I understand, because I didn't buy any of it, and I was looking back at it when I was reinstalling the game. Um, Not real good stuff for DLC. Like it kind of felt like they made this. They had to pad out 3 more DLCs to make the season pass worth it.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's what's going to make or break this game for you. If you
Yeah.
like the jokes, if you like the over the top bombastic plot and just ridiculous about every ridiculousness, that's going to make the game for you. If you don't like that, don't even bother.
Yeah. I think
It helps a lot if you were a teenage boy at one point.
yeah. I think my personal favorite like review type thing that I saw for it wasn't actually a review. It was, as Jay mentioned, it was to do with podcasts. Like I'd heard Knobs talk about it a lot, and I know I've got a very similar sense of humor to Knobs, and I thought, well, I will like it, but I've got a memory like a sieve, so I don't mind. I listen to the Giant Bombcasts Game of the Year discussions, and their final day Game of the Year discussions, I believe, is between Saints Row the Third and Skyrim. I think there was the
Wow,
big battle, and that podcast was just incredible. Like the back and forth between all the guys on that crew
that was
fighting
really
over
good.
which one should get it was so great. And that's pretty much Knobs, and then that was just like, okay, I need to clearly buy this game.
Books like fanfic. Ugh. But I want to punch the phrase robust transmedia play. Those are 3
Yeah,
words that just need to be punched.
some marketing manager got promoted for coming up with that.
Yeah, I can't picture Nintendo being real keen to put Saints Row on their handheld. Like, eh. Okay.
No, it didn't come out in 2010, did it? I can't believe the 3DS did not come out in 2010. I would believe 2011, but just barely. Oh, really? Wow. I would have lost a bet
Well,
because I
nobody
wouldn't have
bought one
thought it
until
was that old.
2013, so
I guess that's true. You're right.
we
Yeah,
need to
not to
sell
mention,
a game.
yeah, the hype Saints Row was getting at the time. Nintendo needs to push it on the hardcore audience, the early adopters. I
This is
was
an
just about to
incredible
say the
list.
exact same thing. I was just about to say that as well. I did not think 2011 was as good as it shows up.
Yo, yo. Oh, yeah. And that was an October release, too.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's a lot
yeah,
of music
definitely
crossover.
audience overlaps. Yeah.
Yep.
Skyrim, I think, is a game that goes across the gamer demographic.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yep. And you actually mentioned it in one of the shows as well, and someone asked if you'd done something embarrassing for a game.
Jeez.
I'm surprised that the second edition of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 wasn't released within that 3 months.
Hmm.
Yeah, I never would have thought that that was such a big year.
Yeah.
It was on PS Plus, but it was really weird. It's like 26 gigs, and you downloaded the key, but then you got to re-download stuff. It was hard to get going, but it's pretty.
No. Hmm. I think this was very much one of those examples of word of mouth or word of the internet, if you will, where all of a sudden, exactly, it's something happens in the game, you tell two friends, they go out and buy it, then they have something else happen, then they tell two friends, and it seemed to be the perfect game for that kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
there's no mayhem in Skyrim. My Little Pony is breathing fire and whatnot. Yeah, you really have to try and make that goofy.
Um, that opening scene with the bank heist is just
That was
dumb,
cool.
over the top cool. I found myself saying, "This is implausible. This is dumb," and then I had to step
Sorry.
back and I go, That's what they're going for. That's what they're going for." It took me until probably the second or third hour till I was actually in the world and running around for a little bit before I finally got over that mental hump of this is supposed to be stupid. This is supposed to be over the top,
Yeah.
you know. So the first opening cutscene anyway was great. It sucked me in. It was awesome. So it was a great start to the game because when I got dropped into that open world, I stepped back and went, "Oh, we're playing an open world game," and I don't know why I don't like them, but I don't. And I've spent all month trying to figure out what I was going to say at this exact moment on the show because I can't come up with an explanation as to why I don't like them. But when I first got dropped into that world and it opened up, I had that sense of here we go again, another open world game. My objection isn't so much that. It really honestly isn't so much that because I don't have a problem with finding my own priorities to set when it comes to that. My issue with open world games really revolves more around, oh God, I got to drive across the city. Okay, here's
Well, and
5 minutes.
that's what I was gonna
And on
bring
the way
up.
there, I'm going to get wrecked and crashed. And then I've got the police after me because I ran over somebody. And now in this game, there's gangs and stuff. And now I've got a gang after me. Now I've got to lose them. And now they're just shooting me. And now it's just a headache. And all I wanted to do was go over here to do a mission, or in what I was eliminating gangs at one point. I just wanted to go to the next gang area to eliminate them. But no, I can't just do that. I can't just drive over there because something else happened. And I think the other aspect is I feel like I'm playing it wrong in some ways too if I just drive over there like a normal human being. Like if I just take the interstate and take the shortest route to the objective I'm trying to get to, or if I follow the GPS, I almost feel like I'm playing the game wrong. Like it almost doesn't want you to do that because part of the game is going off the beaten path. It's taking
Hmm.
that alley behind all the buildings. It's driving over the grassy knolls. It's not following the rules.
Yeah, it's
But
probably not. It's probably not helped you there as well. The fact that you get bonus experience points and cash for doing all of that, and it shows up at all times in that top right corner of the screen. It's like, oh,
right.
you're drifting around a corner and you're doing in and out of traffic. Oh, you
I
unlocked a
love that
shortcut. Here,
stuff.
have all this extra stuff. I love it, but as Scott's saying, I think he felt guilty for wanting to take the shortest path because he's not earning all of these all of a sudden
But that's
these
it. It's not even the
bonuses.
shortest path. It's just the most obvious,
Hmm.
following the GPS, getting on the interstate, as opposed to driving across the city and through the back roads and exploring the city and finding some of the secrets. And a part of it has to do with the fact of where I've landed in my life, which is why I go back to if I were 15 years old and I had nothing to do for 4 hours after school every day, this game would be perfect because I could drive around the city and do donuts in the airport runway forever and entertain myself that way. I can't. I have an hour at best, and
Hmm.
I can't just do donuts in the airport runway for an hour. So
Good knowing you, Scott.
outside of that, it was fantastic. That the opening hour beyond even was great.
Well, I got some notes here. I did want to say a couple things, kind of in response to you, Scott. I thought they did a really good job as far as, and it was the first time I had seen a lot of this stuff. but I don't play a ton of open world, sort of urban sandbox games. Um, instead of having to check the map the whole time while you're driving, you had these big giant arrows that pointed you, oh, here's your turn that's coming up, or go straight instead of having to check the map and then which way am I facing and all that. It kept you looking at the screen instead of the map.
Hmm.
I liked that, if you were getting chased by, you had 4 stars with one of the gangs and 4 shields with the cops, you could just, still start a mission. If it's GTA, you have to lose all those angry people before you can start a mission. Here, you don't even have to get out of the car.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If you roll up to a point,
You just
you
drive
can
over
just
the mission.
fire up. Yeah, it'll be like press Y to start the mission or something, and it'll drop all of the wanted stuff, won't it?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're
So-
right. I don't play enough open world games to realize that's a thing.
Oh yeah, it's much worse in other games.
Yeah. Hmm. I mean, the two biggest problems with GTA 5, in my opinion, are losing people who are after you to start a mission, and having to basically play the map because the GPS is only on the map.
Yeah.
It's not a heads up or anything. It's literally just on your map.
So I liked that. I will say, first hour you have the bank heist where you actually helicopters lift the vault out of the bank and you fly around the city on top of the bank vault shooting people. Then you have a mission where you were in a plane, or no. Are you? No, yeah.
Yes, you're in a plane.
You get arrested, and then they bring you on this plane, and the plane blows up, and you were shooting people as you're flying through the plane, and then you drop 6,000 feet, and you're dodging all the debris, and you catch Shondi, and then you have to let her go, and she's mad, so then you blow up another plane, and then
You go
catch her
back
again.
through the plane, though. That's the thing. You break through the
You
windshield.
kick through the windshield, yeah.
Go through the belly of the plane and come out the tail.
Mhm.
It is, and again, I have to say, at this point, I'm going, this isn't happening. This isn't happening. And I'm like, oh, enjoy it because it's hilarious and over
It's
the
supposed
top.
to,
Mhm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh. My
And you do
Yeah.
it again at the end of the game, except you're in a tank.
Mhm. My favorite moment on that first plane when you fall out of it, the second time you go out of it and you meet Shawnee again. I think the lead character actually says how much stuff is in that plane
Yeah.
Yes, he
because
does.
you're just surrounded by debris, and it's like, oh,
Yes.
he's got kind of got a point.
It's an entire warehouse full of stuff that's been falling for 9 or 10 minutes. Yeah. So that was cool. There's a mission right after that which I thought was the best use of music in the game, and that is one of the things that I
Yeah.
noticed right away. Is there was a lot of awesome songs that you could only put in this game. It was Best Around from was it Karate Kid that you do while you're wrestling
Mhm.
dudes with a chainsaw. It's got Death Clock, of course. Live Wire. That Rocky 4 montage song, like a bunch of great music. But it's got Power by, is it
Kanye
God.
West.
Kanye?
Kanye West.
Which that was the first time I'd ever heard the song. Was in game when
No,
you
I
jump
agreed.
out of a helicopter onto a penthouse and you just parachute onto the roof and start shooting the place up. It was an awesome moment. Loved it.
I had no idea what that song was. And you're right, Jay-Z. This first time I heard it too. And man, I was like, this is an amazing. I actually
Perfect.
thought that they had written the song specifically for the moment because it syncs so well with what's going on
Mhm.
there.
As far as the progress bars, where you're doing a power slide and you get more respect, which is, experience that you use to buy skills and stuff. There is there's progress bars for everything. There's, run over 1,000 people. There's, drive 1,000,000 feet on the wrong side of the road. There's one for
Which I want
the
to get
number
back
of,
to that later too. Driving
there's
on the
one
wrong side of the road.
for nut shots. When you melee guys, you don't just punch them out. You will do an elbow drop on them, or you will hit them in the junk with your gun, and they go down. That's it. There's a progress bar to do like 50 of those. So I liked that stuff. The other thing is your voice options. You can pick, at least when you're a dude, you can pick three different kinds, three different voice actors. One is the guy who's everything.
Nolan
Um,
North.
thank you. Uh, there's a dude who sounds like he's African American, and then there's the British guy. You have to pick him.
Yeah.
So I have him, and then my made my dude up looking all like an '80s suit, and he's got the bandana on with the long hair, and he's got a pair of aviator glasses on with another pair of aviator glasses sitting on top of his head, and with that voice, I had to call him Britt Michaels. Yes. It's just it's full of cocaine. But yeah, I liked that stuff, and the other thing that jumped out was I really liked when you completed a major mission, it would do like that '80s style zoom in freeze frame thing while it played
Yeah.
the dubstep in the back. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So that was
Mhm.
my stuff.
I mean, pretty much exactly the same as what Scott and Jay have said. The only thing I would probably add is in regards to the voice actor options, one of my favorite things about it is the voice actors are not tied down to gender. So if you want to
Oh,
be a dude with a female voice, if you want
I
to be a
did not
female
know
with a
that.
male voice, and the the girl voices are kind of interesting. I can't remember what the third one is, but the first one's like a valley girl who's all like, cheerleadery kind. The second one is a Russian accent, and it is one of the best voice acting jobs I've ever seen in a video game. Because I mean, we'll probably get to it, but the different scripting they use for all the different voices is fantastic. But
Yes.
I mean, I will admit, my first playthrough, I rep the British dude because I'm British. I kind of have to do that. But pretty much what everybody said. The power moment didn't get me quite as hyped as it seemed to get everybody else. I don't know if it was just because I wasn't feeling that song or for some other reason, but it didn't get me as hyped. But the actual mission where you have to do that, where you're coming out of the helicopter and taking that penthouse, that got me more than the song did. But yeah, like everybody else has said, it's pretty much the first hour or so is just it's a great opening to what would turn out to be a great game. Hmm.
Yes. There was
Hmm.
no construction on bridges or yeah. What?
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 No.
I
What is
knew that.
that? What is that? How does that work?
I think so.
What does that mean?
All you have to do is steer.
Oh, I was hoping you would say it would drive it on its own, but
Fully automated cars.
hmm.
Hmm. Also,
Yeah,
that
that would have been
results
great.
in that results in one of the best quote unquote mini games, like the power drifting and all these other kind of things that you get credit for in the corner. You can do car torpedo where you stick around cruise control,
Yeah.
max the accelerator out, and then jump out, and the car keeps going, and
Oh,
it
it just
gets
never
set into
stops.
it never stops, and it also changes it into this mode where as soon as it hits something, it blows up. Oh, it's. I mean, to be honest, the
Well,
big thing
hang
for
on.
me
Can
is
I sorry. Who all finished the game?
I did. I finished it a
Moon.
couple
Moon.
years
It's an
ago,
audio podcast. Moon.
and then
I.
again.
I'm letting other people finish, Scott. Smarty. I finished it about 2 weeks into the it being the Game Club game. For about the 4.5 time. Um, but I mean, yeah, the funny moments thing for me, it really was. It fluctuated. I think the thing they did fantastically, the best moments really, the thing they did really, really well was you may not have loved all of them, but everybody had a moment they loved. I didn't like the power moment. Probably my favorite moment in the entire game is holding out for your hero when you're trying to make the decision on the final mission of the game,
Yeah.
whether you're going to kill someone or save somebody, and it's playing holding out for a hero as you're driving to go and save somebody. That to
So
me was
whose whose
perfect.
life are you trying to decide to save or?
Shaundi's.
Shondi and Mayor Burt Reynolds.
It's. I thought it was save Shaundi or cut off Kilbane at the airport.
It is, but Burt
Yeah.
Reynolds is under that the Statue of Liberty, their version. Him and Shondi are both under it.
Ah.
Kilbane was trying to, he was going to blow it up and set up the Saints. If you don't save her, I gotta say, holding out for a hero when you're just going to commit a revenge murder doesn't really fit.
No, it doesn't. But I mean that was a fantastic moment to me. I mean, the game is too full of them, to be honest. Some of the missions that you do, the side missions, all these kind of things they're all great, and I'm sure other people will have individual examples of that. But for me, the best moments are, and I might be by myself out of the four of us when I say this, but the best moments are playing it with other people, because I played it once by myself, and it was a great game. I had a good time with it. Then the second time I played through it with Nobs, and me and Nobs playing through that entire game, both coming up with crazy characters, doing stupid stuff, winding each other up, throwing grenades at each other, etc., etc., etc. I
Being
played it through.
teenage boys.
Yes, exactly, Scott. Being teenage boys with each other. They then I played. No, it really didn't. I
Yeah,
played it.
that sounded a little weird, but all right.
Yeah, a little bit. Sorry, Nobs. The secret's out. Uh, then I played it through about 3/4 of the way with Holly from over at Tiltcast, and she's filthy minded, the same as us. So it was a great, fun experience to play it through there as well.
Did you just call Holly
Then
a teenage boy?
no, Holly's a teenage girl. Um, then I played it through it with my father. I had an absolute blast with him, and the one I played recently, the one actually associated with the game club, I played it with a friend of mine from New York, Jess, and she and me and her probably actually had the most fun because we were making up stories for our characters as we were going. It's like, why is this happening? Why is that happening? This is happening because of that. I was telling Scott about it actually. We were time travelers from another dimension that came back to try and save the world, and we were dressed up in vintage like steampunk clothing and all this other kind of stuff.
Like, this is
And
what
it's just
people looked like in history. Just wear that.
exactly, and it's coming up with those moments when you're running down a street to try and get a car, and then all of a sudden you get hit from behind with the penetrator. It's like, why did you do that? It's like those wonderful moments when you're sharing those missions, like jumping out of a helicopter together, sniping somebody together. It's like, God, you stole that kill. I had him lined up. Well, too bad, kind of thing. It's the co-op side of it for me was the best moment of that game. Or every time I've played it, it's been great, purely because I've had somebody else there and you're bouncing off each other constantly.
A lot of them ended up being quotes, so I'll save those for that section. But the side missions, usually I skip them all. When we were talking on Brutal Legend, um, I skipped most of those because really they weren't fun. In here, I mean, I didn't like Zemo's side missions because they were boring, and it really feels weird selling women. So I skipped those. Um, but Tank Mayhem was awesome. Insurance fraud is the most fun thing. Driving around with the tiger in the car, trying to make sure the tiger is excited, like he wants you to drive fast. And if you don't, or you crash, he'll claw your eyes out. I don't like Will Ferrell, so I'll trust you.
I've never seen it either.
It was just the side missions were so fun that you wanted to find more of them. Like it would say, "Hey, there's another one." And I almost never pull up a map and go, "Oh, I want to find more of those." It's kind of if I run across one, great. This one, I was going to find other insurance frauds. And in Mayhem, Tank Mayhem, you get combos, and the more stuff you blow up within a certain time frame, like a rolling 3-second window or something, the more a multiplier goes up. Even at like 25% multiplier or 25 times multiplier, a person blowing up a person with a tank is still only considered like $140 worth of damage. I thought that was funny. Like a human life is literally worth $140 to these people
with a 25x multiplier.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's all about the fences, dude. It's all about the fences.
Oh yeah.
Pro tip.
I also liked that Killbane, the big 6'9" luchador, totally ripped, mega roided out aggro wrestler guy. His name is Eddie. That made me laugh.
Really quick on the subject of Killbane. I'm assuming we are spoilers away here.
Yeah.
For sure.
The moment with the twins and Eddie, where he just grabs one, and snaps the neck. That is kind of reminiscent of Saints Row 2, where it's like very serious, something seriously and kind of slightly shocking has just happened, and they try and brush it off with a joke. That is the only Saints Row 2 carryover that I've seen. Everything else about it was embrace the crazy. Well, I get it. They kind of had to make him at least a threat.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in doing so, yeah, like Jay-Z said, his name is Eddie.
Well, and he snapped her. Oh, he snapped her neck for failing, not because she called him Eddie. And then I can't believe I just remembered this. The entire section where you're in the video game.
Deckers Die?
Yeah, where you start out and it's basically the shorthand is it's the Matrix, and you jacked in. And you start out, and your avatar is it Kenzie? Kenzie, yeah. So you start as a toilet. Kenzie. And then she tries to switch you to your normal self, and then she changes you to a blow-up doll. And then you become like this wireframe Mega Man thing.
And you get the Mega Buster, Buster as well.
And you have to, there's like, what did they call it? It's the overhead tank game from Atari. Commander or something. You do a section like that, and then you can actually summon the 8-bit pixel tank in the real world. Oh, and that's another awesome thing. You can just pull up your phone, you hit the back button on the 360 controller, and you say, "Bring me a car," and they will just bring you your car. You don't have to go look for one, you don't have to find a garage, you don't have to go back to a crib, it's just bring me my car. With the underglow and the nitrous and all, yeah.
And the bandoliers that come out of the tires, and then all of a sudden you've got a wanted level because you drove too close to the curb.
Yeah, that's city property. But that was my stuff. How about you, Scott?
I didn't play as much of it as you guys. I didn't finish the game. I probably got to put in 10 hours, maybe 15 hours, and a lot of that was side stuff. I didn't push the story objectives very hard at all. I think, well, I don't know. You tell me. Knobs told me I was about the quarter mark of the way through the story, but I got to the point where you had to make a decision on whether to bring a building down.
Oh, yeah. You had a ways to go.
Yeah, that's probably about a quarter, a fifth, something like that.
That was probably the last major plot point that I played. Well, what's after that? Because I do remember something with the... Well, I met Zemos, and Zemos is after that. So maybe I got a little further than that, but not much past Zemos.
Mhm.
So what's interesting, the memorable moments though, is the character creation I skipped kind of through just because it was daunting and I was like, I can't spend again, I don't have the time to spend an hour making a character. So I brushed through it at first initially. But then I thought the game did a great job of presenting you places to customize your character because I found myself
Mhm.
constantly going back to the character customization part. And I'm
Yeah.
definitely not a person that cares a lick about what their avatar looks like. But I found myself in this game changing my guy constantly.
You were just
And
making
I
his
ended up,
junk bigger, weren't you?
no, I wasn't doing that. But I ended up, I did make a guy that was very large. So he's extremely overweight. He's he's got this shaved head. He had on sunglasses, and for a while, that's all I had him doing. He was completely naked, running around with these sunglasses on.
Is
And
there an achievement for that?
this
Yes.
plays into it because there's a scene where your homie, the black guy, what's his name?
Pierce.
Yes.
Pierce. There's a scene where Pierce is sitting on a couch, and your character walks up to him, and my guy is entirely naked, and he is standing quite literally a foot from Pierce's face. And they're having this conversation like it's the most normal thing.
They went on
Did he
Yeah,
do
playing.
that?
all right.
He went on playing
Pierce's
chess.
Yeah.
face is a
he
foot
do,
from
like-
my junk. And he's just talking about like nothing's happened. Yeah, whatever, man. We
Let's
gotta
hit up
go.
the strip
We gotta
club.
go kill these people. Yeah. So to me, that was a memorable moment, but it was only set up because I just happened to have my characters dressed, in this case, undressed in a certain way.
Mhm.
The other big memorable moment was Zemos, and going to get him. And I don't even remember why we were going to get Zemos. I don't know the story about what brought us to that place and why
Had
he
to make
Um,
money back or something.
It was recruiting local people who knew about the local gangs because you knew about Stillwater and you needed people who knew about the gangs in Steelport.
That's right.
So Kenzie's against Matt, Seamos is against the twins, and
Oleg?
No, Oleg is against the main dude, the Russian dude. I can't remember whoever's Killbane rival is. I can't remember his wrestler's name now. Angel.
Angel.
Angel is against Killbane. So yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's a
Oleg
Russian name.
Yeah, Oleg was it was his thing. Yo, French, shut up.
So just the whole part leading up to Zemos was to me amazing. Walking into that building and then discovering what that building was for.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they told you, right? But
it
to
was
me,
a throwaway line.
It was a throwaway line. It didn't have as much impact telling me that as walking in and then wandering around the building and just walking into every room because I had to know what was going on in every room. And every room was different. Every room had something else. Something
horrifying
equally
with
as
a W.
horrifying.
Because it's a sex dungeon. Get it?
It was incredible. And then meeting Zemos, and Zemos talks to you in auto-tune. And I was like, this is great. And then, I guess, are you rescuing? No, you're escaping then. And you hook Zemos up to a cart. And he's in full bondage gear, gimp stuff.
Well,
and then you're being chased by people.
And if you shoot the I call them the sex slave rickshaws, they're chasing you. And by the way,
that's what they are.
Even when Z's talking with the ball gag in, that's still auto-tuned, which I thought was funny. So when the rickshaws are chasing you, like I wasn't shooting the dudes who were pulling them because come on, they're there against their will. I'm going to shoot the rickshaws. They blow up like cars.
Right, you're right. Again, over the top and hilarious. And by this point, I had embraced it, and I was just like, "This is fantastic."
My favorite thing about the first time you meet Zemos is when you look at him, he's wearing a ball gag. He's actually wearing two. He's got one over his mouth and one over his throat.
Oh, okay.
Is that why he's auto-tuned? Is there something with the throat?
Yeah, it's like when people get
tracheotomy.
A tracheotomy, yeah.
They have to doctor the thing up to their neck.
Okay, so that's why he's. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. The cane that he carries that looks like a microphone. That's his vocal thing.
Right. Okay. hilarious.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the the main thrust of my, no pun intended, adventures with this game really were the side stuff. Really was the side stuff. So I didn't push the main story so much, but I had a fantastic time going around doing assassinations, and I want to talk about the car. Was it carjack? Not carjackings. The car
The
thefts, I
awesome
guess,
button.
where you. It was like a Saints sort of thing where you had to go out and get a car and bring it back.
I never
I
found
want to
that.
talk about that later in the.
Is that the Saints list?
Yes, the Saints list stuff.
Top right corner on your phone.
Right.
It's really
I want to
bad
talk
that I
about
should
that
remember
later
that.
in the what I would do differently type of section or
I
whatever
never
we've
Yeah.
even
got coming
found
up.
that.
Yeah, it's basically it's a bunch of assassination contracts where they give you specific things to do. So it's like, oh, this dude is a pimp who lives in this area. You need
Yeah.
to go and politely take one of his ladies, and then he will show himself. And then once you've taken one of his ladies, he shows himself, and then you've got to kill him. Or it's
But
go to this area and take this car.
But that was what was neat about those assassinations, and what I enjoyed about doing them is that you didn't just. It wasn't just, oh, here we'll mark somebody on your map and you go kill them. You had to
Hmm.
go to an area and you had to. It was almost a little puzzly. That's
Hmm.
maybe too
Like
strong.
Hitman,
Puzzle's
yeah.
probably too strong a word, but it's a
Yeah.
little more like you have to get to an area and do something to draw them
Hmm.
out.
Like one of they're very simple puzzles, but you are right. It is fantastic. Like there's one that's a DJ and she hates her rival radio station, so you've got to go and
Yes,
pull up to
yes,
where she is and then play her rival radio station in your
yes.
car radio, and she'll show up. Like it's slightly insane.
Okay, Brian, what did you take away?
But
Out of nowhere.
hmm yep, and yeah, the worst thing about that is he's on the radio constantly, but you don't recognize his voice and you don't hear it until after you've met him, and then it's like, oh, there he is. He's on the radio.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
Oh, I hated those. I hated those. Oh my gosh, those were just. I only did one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there was like what's his name? Spencer? What was the guy's name? No, the
Yes.
dude who was running the who you were going into the Matrix to get take care of
Oh,
him.
Matt Miller.
Matt. So he would give himself unfair advantages like
Hmm.
slowing you down,
And
or
cause lag.
he would cause lag and he would jump around like it was Counter-Strike in 1997. It was just I laughed out loud. That was so
Mhm.
clever. Laser swords and rollerblades. Yeah.
Yep.
um, definitely the vehicle hijacking missions in the Saints book. What I had a tremendous frustration. It would give you an objective, as Moon was saying, to go capture a car. So you would show up in an area, and maybe two or three different spots would light up where you could go hijack a car. And then once you get the car hijacked, you have to take it back to the chop shop, more or less.
Are those ever fun?
No.
What made this entirely frustrating and why I gave up on them after doing them maybe one or two was instantly you get a wanted level for taking the car.
Yep.
And then it seems like that they programmed the AI traffic to swerve into you
Hmm.
at this point because you're fleeing, and if you're following the flow of traffic, you will pull up behind a vehicle, and if you try to pass it, it will turn into you, which wrecks your car. Now that's one thing. Well, they give you based on how well the car comes back to the chop shop, what kind of condition it comes back in, your reward gets incremented because of that. I wasn't so much concerned about tearing the car up, but what inevitably happened is I'm in this high-powered car, somebody cuts me off, I flip off the interstate, or I end up upside down. Multiple times this happened, and now I can't flip the car back over.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm off track. Now I'm lost. Now the police are coming after me. Inevitably, I've run over a gang member, and the gang member's coming after me.
And
So
there's wide scale citizens arrests going on.
it was just a nightmare. Not even to bring it back in good condition. I'm not even complaining about not being able to bring it back in good condition. To bring it back at all was such a nightmare that I just ended up, I wasn't having any fun. And I was like, there's more fun to be had in this game. So those are the things that I would have changed. And I think just simply tweaking the AI of the traffic would have gone a long way to fixing that issue. But man, outside of that, I can't think of anything that I would definitely fix or change or.
I did like I liked the AI traffic when just out of nowhere people would just see you, and this weirdly happened more during the beginning of the game before it got real notorious at the end. People would just panic and just floor it and try and go through whatever was in their way just to get away from you, and just you walk into an intersection, it's like you're a dirty bomb, just widespread panic, everyone fleeing the scene. Emergent gameplay. I didn't have a lot that I didn't like. There was just some weird stuff. Like, I played through on normal, and when you start getting to the end, when there's like sort of the all-out war between Killbane's, what is his gangs, the Cabrones or something like that?
Luchadors.
The Luchadors. Oh, the Cabrones, the radio station. Between them and Stag, who's basically Shield, Marvel's Shield. Those missions real tough because like you got to hold an intersection against waves of both these sides, and there's special guys coming in. At any rate, I would lose. I died a bunch during that point. There was a loading screen to bring you up to the "Do you want to retry?" which was like, really? You can't just. I get a loading screen to say I want to retry to get another loading screen. Now they were all short, but it's still like, Zombies show up at one point, and it wasn't. If it had come out last year and the zombies were in the game, I would think that they did it making a joke about how, well, we had to throw a zombie mission in. But this was before that had sort of hit critical mass. So when it came up, I went, really? Well,
yeah.
No, but I mean, to where it was so widespread that everyone was sick of them, that it would be enough of a joke for them to throw it in.
Yeah, I think they're towing the line here. 2011 was probably early in that tide turning point where zombies.
Maybe
are zombies even really out at this point?
No,
but they're definitely not they should be. You're right.
On the zombies, I do think they threw it in deliberately. I think they threw that in to make that point that they are a bit tried and true, because the character even says, "Zombies, really?" Like literally, one of the voice actors says it.
Seriously?
It has to be a joke.
Because that's what my notes say.
Yeah, that's exactly what one of the people say. Yeah. Yeah.
So there was those two, and then as the first time I played through the game, at the end, hold not for a hero kicks in, and at like 3 or 4 major points in the game, it'll give you 2 objectives, and they're mutually exclusive. So like when you take over the Syndicate, is that their name? When you take over their building, the original plan is, oh, we're going to totally blow this thing up. Let's drive a big truck bomb into the basement. Well, when you finally do what you're supposed to do in there and get back down, you can either leave the bomb there and blow the building up, or you can basically take over the building and get cash per hour. And so there's a couple different points where you can do that stuff. The last one is Kilbane has, framed the Saints. He said, it's the Statue of Liberty in Steelport. It's not the Statue of Liberty, but it's their analogy for it. And so, Kilbane's telling you, look, I'm totally going to frame the Saints that you guys are domestic terrorists and you blew this up. And the boss, I'm sorry, Britt Michaels, tells him there's no way anyone's going to believe it was us. And he goes, well, in his over the top, listen here, brother. They will when they find, Shondi's body parts there. So you have to choose, and that's when Holding Out for a Hero kicks in. And clearly, what you're supposed to do is go save Shondi. She's your home. Mm-hmm. But I did that last time and got what I would consider the canon ending, and I guess Saints 4 is the canon ending in that, where you go save them, and then the whole city thinks you're heroes, and then it cuts to you finally killing Kilbane. Only it turns out you're on the set of the movie Gangsters in Space. So I thought, okay, I've done all that already. I didn't really love that ending, so I'll go to the other one. So I left Shondi, and it'll come up in the glitches section. Part of you have to go save Angel because he's being attacked, and then he drives you over to Kilbane when you're listening to Holding Out for a Hero, which is you're not in control of anything. You're being driven like you're Miss Daisy. So it really loses some of the urgency. Because you're abandoning your friend too. Like, that's real heroic, man. But you get there and you get to the airport because Kilbane's taken off in his plane. You got to get to him. So you shoot 3 rockets at the plane because it's always 3. And he gets out, because of course he's totally unfazed. He crawls out of the wreckage and he gives you this speech which was a really cool speech. It was, he's saying, when you guys started, when I started all this, you were just you weren't hard anymore. You weren't thugs. You were selling energy drinks and showing up in rap videos. Like, I made you tough again, and I'm gonna kill you now, but you're gonna thank me with your last breath. And then it's a quick time event to kill him. Yeah, it's a good quick time event, but it's a QTE. And then the game keeps going. Like, there's this really awesome line. Pierce, you hear that you kill him, and then you hear this boom off in the distance. And then Pierce calls you, and you pick up, and he asks, did you get him? And you say yes, and he goes, was it worth it? And he just kind of sort of drops the phone and looks off in the distance. And I'm like, all right, there's the end of the game. And then it cuts to the guys from Stag, because now they think you're a terrorist. So they bring in basically the SHIELD helicarrier, and they start just blowing up the whole city. So it was a cool little sequence because I got to throw guys off of a helicarrier. But it seemed it was only cool that it was there because then instead of you being heroes, the ending is you just declare Steelport a city-state and you secede from the United States. So that was cool, but it really should have stopped, A, without a QuickTime event, and B, when he just is looking off in the distance. So those are my gripes. I guess it was more than I thought.
Like Scott said, the 2 big ones actually have pretty much already been mentioned. I hated the vehicle collection ones for the Saints book because I need to do everything in every video game ever because that's me. And to give Scott an idea, it's kind of good that you didn't go on to do any of the later ones because there's one where you have to steal a helicopter that doesn't have guns from a military base, and then you immediately get full police wanted level, and they start chasing you down with helicopters that have guns, and it's literally nigh on impossible to get that done. I do think the hardest difficulties of some of the side missions is a little bit too hard. I know me and Jay-Z have actually been arguing about this on the forums. I think the hardest difficulty on the insurance fraud is too hard. But like I said, I play most of it in co-op, and that gets so much easier when you're playing in co-op because literally you're getting double of everything. But by yourself, I do think some of them are a little bit too hard. The zombies I loved. The only downside about the zombies is they do way too much damage and are way too hard to kill. It makes that whole section tiresome. It's a great joke for me. It's a great moment, but it's tiresome from the fact that literally you have to pump like so many bullets into the zombie to even get some space to get your health back.
Not with explosive pistol rounds, you don't. Most OP thing in the game. I loved those.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think that's about it I can think of off the top of my head. Back to you, Mr. Hannah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, they were escort missions.
Mhm.
Escorts.
An escort, an actual escort. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Well, it's Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. It's like you. It's awesome that we know this stuff. I'll read about it somewhere. Like end the movie 20 minutes ago.
Mhm. I think I've just remembered one more negative. The only negative I can really think of, and it comes from playing Saints Row 2. It's missing one of my favorite side missions from Saints Row 2. They took out the races, thank goodness for that. They took out a whole bunch of other stuff, but they took out the. I'm trying to figure out a way to phrase this politely.
Poo slinging?
Yes, the property market side mission in Saints Row 2 involved a septic truck and using said septic truck to devalue property. Um,
I love how
and
politically you're describing this. This is great.
it was so much fun. The sound effects on it are fantastic. Like
Oh,
it's a squishy wet noise. Um, it has semi-realistic like fluid physics when it hits the buildings. And I wish it was in Saints Row 3. I was really bummed when it turns out it wasn't in it.
I'd play that.
It's worth it.
Um, I guess I've hit some of these. The one thing that I guess I couldn't, I probably should have brought up earlier. When you save Oleg, he is completely naked. He's a giant, 400-pound, 7-foot tall Russian dude, and he's completely naked and doesn't care. But the model, there is something about the model because they basically put a pixelated bikini on him. But the way it was shaped made me think that they actually modeled his manberries
Oh, you know they did.
and then blurted over them. And I was just like, man, somebody got paid to do that. Cash money. Um, so as far as the actual lines, just sort of the self-awareness. At one point, you're on a mission with Shondi and the gang, and the gangs, the cops, everyone's got helicopters. They just show up out of nowhere, and she goes, "Does everyone have helicopters?" Like, um, the when Stag, who's basically it's kind of supposed to be FEMA. Like, there's a lot of they're cracking jokes on that. Um, Stag gets Nightblade, who's a basically like the kid from Twilight, except it's like a CW series kind of thing. He plays a moody vampire, and it's a teen drama. He was actually in the first mission with you because he was trying to what do they call that? He was going to method act as a bank robber, so he wanted to come along with the Saints.
Hmm.
They actually turn him against the Saints. Stag does, and uses him as a spokesman. And his line was, "Remember, folks, it's okay to rat out your neighborhood." And then the last one was when you were. It's right before you go to the final mission with Kilbane, and it's you and Oleg, and I think Pierce, that are they're attacking the military base, and there's this back and forth of well, guys, we might not make it out of this one, and Oleg start talking about how oh God, what I would tell Kenzie if she were here, and really, and Pierce goes, well, what would you say, boss? Do you have any regrets? Anything you want to get off your chest? And he's Britt Michaels, he's got the British voice. He goes, I call chips fries. Just in this, oh my God, what have I done? My people, my people. Those were all the good ones. We kind of hit everything else.
I mean, there's so many fantastic lines in it. I mean, I think that the thing probably that not many people who've played it has experienced is how everything changes so much if you choose different voice actors. The British dude is smarmy, makes very, very British references to everything, like I call chips fries. That is a fantastic line for a British voice actor to say, or a British accent to say. Um, the interaction between them all changes so much when you choose something else. Like I played as a Russian lady, and her interaction with Kinsey is hilarious. Like some of the things they say cannot be said on this show due to Kinsey's persuasions, shall we say.
Ah.
And it's just so much variety. Like the side characters all have the same lines no matter what. How they managed to get 6 different scripts for the player character to say is so fantastic to me. And I haven't played it with people as well. Like you hear people laughing or joking, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa! What did your person say? Because my person said something completely
Oh, that's
different to
cool.
what you said. And the best thing is if you're in co-op, you see your character on all the cutscenes. You don't see the other person, you just see yourself. So it's pretty much your campaign, even if you're not the host. But yeah, the dialogue is it's too good. Whoever wrote that needs to have a medal of some sort.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. To put 6 different scripts together is impressive.
Mm.
A lot of games are
Oh.
struggling to do one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 7 if you include.
Oh, the zombie voice.
I don't know that I have anything to add. Moon and I did co-op. We didn't talk about co-op a whole heck of a lot, but Moon did jump into my game. I had no luck getting Knobs into my game. I don't know what issue we had, but we couldn't get together. And I struggle with playing co-op only because it's so hard to focus on the game and chit chat with the person you're co-oping at the same time. Gears of War did a good job, but that's about the only game I can think of. Well, that's not true. Halo 4 did a really good co-op, I felt like. Borderlands, I had the same issue with it. I really enjoyed playing the game with other people, but I missed so much story in that.
Oh, you should
That
have
way.
played with us. We did a Steam night playthrough of the Tiny Tina's Castle, whatever it was. Yeah, and we had a
But
blast. Everybody stopped at the right moment so you could catch the dialogue.
okay, well, see, that's the key though, is that aspect of it. And Moon and I didn't do much. We just drove around and goofed off. But part of that was because I didn't want to queue the story elements up, and then I don't know, we start talking about something else. Scotland's leaving the UK or something, and not be able to focus on the story or hear or miss a joke or just not be engaged with it the way I wanted to be.
If I remember rightly, the Donny flag was raised at that point.
Yeah, that was the other thing is we started playing shortly before the battle cry went out. The for Battlefield. Yeah, really. We've talked about everything else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What a great line.
Mhm.
I'm just sitting here racking my brain. I want to say there was a glitch somewhere along the line that forced me to restart something, but I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. That may be me making that up too. So I don't know. No, I didn't encounter any glitches or any problems, but I didn't play very long either. So
Um, to be honest, the only quote unquote glitches was open world funk. It was, hey, this is a truck driving backwards down the road, and the cab is straight in the air.
oh yeah, that's
Um,
right. That's right. Okay, you reminded me of my
uh,
glitch. Yeah.
oh, go ahead, Scott.
It didn't force me to restart a mission, but I did go down the interstate and I, I look over and there is a guy without a vehicle. He is cruising down the road in, the
Was it
seated
Wonder Woman?
position. No. Seated position like he's driving a car, but they obviously didn't render the car. I mean, it was funny. But as Moonpier so eloquently put it, it's open world funk.
I really only had two. Um, I mean, there was the funny moment that always happens in these kind of games, where you go to get out of a car, or the camera's sort of it's not it's looking straight down on you vertically or something like that, and you just have someone you had no idea was coming. Like a cop will just full throttle slam right into you and crush you against a wall, and you just never saw him coming. It's like getting hit by a meteor. So those are always funny. But as far as the glitches, there were really only two major ones, and they were both like right in that Killbane climax, which I'm never going to say those words together again. Um, I mean, that could probably be like a goth band or something. Um, so when Kilbane was describing how he's going to set you up, it's all these real dramatic shots and it's panning across the statue, and then it shows the people tied up, and it's just subtitles. It went silent.
Mm.
Okay. And then right after that, when I'm going to get Kilbane and Angel's going to drive me over there, well, at some point, they put the car there that he's going to drive you in. It's already there. So I guess during the fight, it gotten blown up. So when it cut to him going, "All right, let's go," and the music's dun, 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 we're sitting in this wrecked car, and just staring at the walls, like, and I got this rocket launcher, and we're just sitting in this burned out husk of a vehicle. The radio still works, so I guess there was that. Um, we're just sitting there, and I had to restart. I was really hoping that we could drive the wrecked husk with no wheels to go save, to go kill Killbane. Um, it was funny because the model doesn't know any better, so he's just sitting in the driver's seat, like he's going, like we're gonna get him. Um, so that was a little funnier, but I still had to restart. So nothing major. Yeah. When I like to imagine the 15 seconds during the loading screen in which, they both looked at each other and like, all right, let's do this. And they Duke it, jump in through the windows and like ready to go. And then just smash cut to them just immobile.
Yep. I think.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Good night.
uh, no.
Welcome back to
No, I think.
Thoughtcast.
Yeah, everyone be quiet and everybody just think. Hmm. Um, um, when it comes to this game, I think the reason why people seem to love it so much is because it builds the world fantastically. It's a good thing. It embraces what we all got fed up of. We all got fed up of the video game cliches. I mean, I think Boston said it plenty on the show. The boss is crazy. He knows he's crazy. He embraces the fact that he's crazy, and he doesn't really care if anybody else doesn't want him to do anything. But the thing that makes him so acceptable, I think, is the side characters. Everybody else is so good in that game. Kinsey, the quiet computer nerd who has a darker side. You've got Zemos, the outgoing pimp who has a softer side. You know,
And
you've
dresses
got
like George Clinton.
yes, you've got Pierce and Oleg, the two hard people who every time you call them up and try and talk to them, they're playing chess with each other.
And the game gets ruined every single time.
hmm Like, I think that really made it for me. I didn't care about the characters in Saints Row 2. I didn't care about the characters in Saints Row 1. Saints Row 3, they made those characters so much fun to just interact with them. But yeah, that's it. I'm done. I play it co-op.
I think I will now. Yeah, that's my takeaway. I'm glad you came on, Moon, because I don't think I would have. I probably would have uninstalled this. As it is, I think I'm going to find someone to play some co-op in.
Yeah, to dovetail on Moon's thought process, and it just left my head. I wanted to piggyback off of what he said, but I'll fall back on my other point, which was I'm so glad this came up as a game club game because this is not a game I would ever touch. Despite how much knobs would rave about it, it's an open world game, and I don't like open world games. And I'm a little sad that I don't have the lifestyle now that I really think this game needs, which is just a few hours, a few really good hours, just to run around the world
Yeah, I mean,
and
I
just do
burned through
things.
this. If you really want to see the end of the game, which I guess now why would you? Because I just told you about the endings. But um, I burned through this. I realized Sunday. I was looking on the forum. So oh crap, the cast is in 4 days. So Monday, Tuesday, and then like a little bit of last night, I burned through the story and still did some side missions. So if you want to, you can. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's the game. I feel like you can do that and you can get the story. But I can go to YouTube and watch the story parts. And I feel
hmm
like that's just as valuable and probably a better use of my time. If you're playing a video game, which reminds me of my point of what I was going to dovetail on Moon about. The reason this game I think is so good is because it's a video game. It knows it's a video game, it
Yeah,
embraces it's a video game, and it just does what a video game should do.
hmm
It doesn't take itself seriously. It's a really great game, and I'm so glad that we have a game club game like this because it's something I would never have touched otherwise,
hmm
which is a pity. Which is a pity.
And they point out that it's a video game as well. It's not like they're trying to do it and then just be a wink and a nod. They're like, hey, no, look, this is a video game. Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how seriously I tried to take it at first, even though I knew coming in. It wasn't a surprise to me that this is going to be an over-the-top game. I knew what Saints Row was, and I still came into the game with the attitude and the prejudice of, really, they just ripped a vault out of a bank.
that
Really, that
really
happened?
that
Really?
cracks me up so much that Saints Row 3, your first hour that you're going, well, I don't find any of this believable. This is just preposterous. Somebody call the
And
governor. Like
I certainly feel the same way because I knew coming in what Saints Row was. I knew it was an over-the-top thing. I knew you weren't supposed to take it seriously. I knew all of that. And still I found myself going, Really, he just flew through the windshield of an airplane?
Come
Right?
on,
Right.
people
Okay.
can't do
Sure. Yeah.
that. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
You did. You did donuts in the airport runway.
Oh God, what if you had woke up at Zemo's? Uh, come back. What have I done? And I do just want to check real quick. You guys keep going. I'm going to check and see how much this is on Steam right now. Because if it's under $10, it gets the vote.
Mhm.
Oh no, this isn't even one of those things where if it's $5, pick it up. This is a if this sounds good to you.
It's $15. Go get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's completely worth the money for sure.
Yeah. Nope.
Nope. Nope. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on the forums. It's all under the same name, Nintendork327.
Funnily enough, the exact same could be said about me. You can find me on the forums and you can find me on the Twitter. It's all under the same name, Nintendo. I mean, Moonpia.
You know what, Moon? I was going to take that joke, and I'm glad you did it. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if this is the first download from the TVGP feed that somebody gets? Can you imagine if last month's was the first download? Oh,
Oh, that would be bad.
It was the first and
oh.
last. Yeah.
This is way better. Way better. Oh, we knew that doing it.
That's livable. Oh, I got a plug. The other JZ, that's letter J and then ZEE. Twitter, forums, of course, but also YouTube channel is coming back up, probably with this Binding of Isaac Rebirth release. So, I don't know about PS Plus. I know it's getting released on PS4 and PC. And if you already own Binding of Isaac, you can get it for like $13 pre-ordered. Thanks.
Good night.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good night.
Later.